Hey, what's good? It's your boy OG Illa, and this is episode 2 of the ILLAGRAM. Alright, so I want to preface this whole episode by saying that there's a lot of construction going on in our building right now. We are building up the office so that way we can do all the things that we want to do. So, with that being said, keep that in mind as we go through this episode for the next month. Alright, there's a lot of construction being done. Let's get straight to it. Last episode, I talked about Rory versus Joe Budden, and now I've had time to see a lot of things lay out. I've seen Savon talk about it on the Need to Know podcast. I've seen Rory and Mal talk about it on their, I don't even know what that was. They kind of like just a response video, more or less. Very well crafted and great production on that as well. I mean, it really felt like a podcast. So, and then we've also heard the story from Shorty. I cannot remember her name. It's not a diss to her. I can't remember her name right now. So there's been a lot of different things that have come out since then, and I saw one comment that sums all of it up. When it rains, it fucking pours. Okay, so let's get straight to this. All right. So on the last episode, y'all saw I kind of like felt Joe was telling the truth. I felt that some of this stuff stems from lack of ownership, lack of initiative. After watching Savon's interview, I kind of doubled down on that. I was like, damn, even Savon is kind of saying this, like, and it seemed kind of damning to Rory and Mal. Now, I watched that one before I watched the Rory and Mal one. Not for any reason. It just happened to be sent to me, and it was more convenient at that time to just pull that link up than go back to Rory and Mal's. But I did watch Rory and Mal's. I did pay the $2, and even though I was a little weirded out at first about that, but I definitely support what they're doing, and yeah. So let's get to it. So from Savon's summary, it kind of doubled down on Joe's story. And interestingly enough, I was not expecting that. Not because I was expecting them to like all gang up on Joe. I just didn't know. It seems like Savon gets a lot of shit, so I figured maybe this would be the time for him to just go at Joe and just get everything off his chest. But he seemed to be more along the lines of what Joe was saying, of what Parks was saying, of what Ian was saying. And that was interesting because that was kind of like a third party. Like, he's involved, but he's not involved. He's not getting paid as much. So maybe he really would kind of spill the tea or whatever. But he was very honest as well and said that he did not know the details of people's contracts, which is important because honesty and transparency is very big in this whole argument, right? So I'm glad that he stated that and was very honest about that, because that changes things. Just because you have an idea of what's going on doesn't mean you know the specifics. All right. More or less, he sided with Joe and was like, hey, man, Joe's changed our life. I'm really appreciative of what he's done for us. And that was kind of, the gist of his stance on his podcast. He did not say Joe was perfect. He did not say things were perfect. But more or less, he said that he's kind of like, sticking with Joe and appreciates Joe for changing his life, more or less. I mean, it seems like the Joe Budden podcast or the Joe Budden network is living pretty good right now, from what it sounds like. Okay, so then we go over to Rory and Mal's response video, and that's where I gotta say a lot of my energy changed because one, uh, I think that Maul was hurt, and Maul is a typical type of guy. When they get hurt, they get defensive, they get a little emotional, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't think he was like sloppy or vindictive, but you could really see or hear and feel the pain in his voice that like in some of this stuff that seemed like he was because Maul, he's real nonchalant, likes to act like nothing affects him, like but he got out of character a little bit, and I think that was actually what I wanted. Because if Maul would have came in there nonchalant, I don't care about nothing, then I think I don't know if I would have believed him as much. I don't think I would have sided with him at all because I think this is one of those things. It's like. If you don't care about it at all, why are we here, right? So Rory the same. Rory's always emotional, but I think that he was straight to the point. I think that there was moments where they got a little personal and whatnot, but overall they stuck to what seemed to be the facts. And again, we don't know any of this for sure right now, especially we're getting one side from one party, one side from another. Seems like cliques are forming, and so we don't know. We don't know for sure. We don't see the contracts. We haven't seen the accounting, and that's pretty funny. The spreadsheet accusation is crazy. But again, I don't know anything about accounting. I do all my accounting on spreadsheets. So that was one part that kind of threw me because I was like, oh shit, am I doing something wrong here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, am I missing out on something? I got receipts and I got a spreadsheet. That's all I got. So, anyways, oh man, I'm sorry, y'all. We go through the episode, and what Joe made it seem like was that they work for him, more or less. That this is Joe's show, and everybody else here is working for Joe. And from Maul and Roy's standpoint, they're profit partners. So they get a percentage of the profits. That puts them in a different position, especially for this whole argument, because I do agree. If they are percentage partners, they have to see the books, because guess what? Everything that comes in, they get a percentage of it. So if we'll break it down very simple. If we make $100 and I get 20% of $100, and then I'm not saying that that's what they get. I'm just giving y'all an example. That means that if we make $100, I get $20. All right. If you say, oh, we only made 80, then that changes things, right? That changes things. I don't get $20 anymore. But I need to see that what we made to confirm that we only got $80. And that makes sense, because I'm going to be honest. Friends and no friends, that just makes sense. Like, yo, why aren't you showing it to me? That's important, because if you aren't showing it to me, that makes me feel some type of way. And if I feel like I'm getting shorted, then it's going to make me even double down on that feeling. And I don't want to do that with my friends, okay? And if some of the things that Rory's saying is true, again, we don't know 100% where the truth lies. I'm going to be honest. After seeing this interview, I'm stuck in between, because Joe made some very good points. They don't own it. And as Rory has said, he didn't ask for, or he didn't get equity, and I think he stopped asking for it after the Lords got involved, if I remember correctly. So, with that being said, that does still give Joe the right to do what he wants with the show and with the network. And then on top of that, Rory seeing that he brought up the fact that they should get contracts and everything taken care of day one, and it didn't get taken care of. I think that's where he messed up, man. I think that if he was serious about where it was going to go, he should have kept that energy and got it done, as well as Maul, as well as Parks, and as well as anybody who was involved. Because I know that when you say these names, Rory been there longer, and then Parks wasn't on screen or talking at first, and then Maul came in at his own time. So you got different time stamps here, which gives them different worth, different value, different assessment, and kind of different just like value overall. So I think that's one thing that I was like, okay, well, I understand that you wanted to do a contract, but you did not do a contract. And that's important to know, because like we could want to do a lot of things. I want to own a business, but if I don't do my LLC, if I don't get my business license, then I don't own a business. You know what I'm saying? So that point from my first episode, I'm sticking with. They're not owners, so, and they did not put themselves in positions to, or they did not secure the position of ownership. So their argument is still kind of like, it doesn't hold as much weight. But Budden, bro, I'm gonna just say this straight up. You are a hypocrite, man. And I did not want to say this because I feel like you're a villain, and no matter what people throw at you, it sticks because you have had such a controversial career. But man, you cannot sit here and fight the man and fight the industry and do all of this stuff and then go on here and do your friends like that, man. I think that's fucked up. I think that some of the stuff that you preach, you only preach it because it sounds good. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like from this situation. Now, I realize you've changed a lot of people's lives. You changed your own lives. You got to look out for your kids and your baby moms. And you got to, do the things that you got to do for yourself. Understood. I am one of those people that always tell, like, my clients when I'm doing consultations, when I'm talking to people that I care about in their careers, that, you have to put yourself on before you could put your people on. But y'all are on. Y'all have signed monumental contracts. Y'all have made moves that nobody had made until the time. Y'all were honestly my favorite podcast at one point. And I think that the stuff that Joe Budden has preached over the years made me a fan of him more so than I ever was as a musician. Like I like Joe Budden as a musician, but he wasn't my favorite rapper. He wasn't somebody I listened to all the time. I wasn't a Joe Budden fanatic. I became more intrigued with him as the podcast grew. And I got into the podcast with Rory and Maul on the podcast. So that's a big part to me where I'm sitting in where like, okay, I haven't been here since day one, A1. You know what I'm saying? I've been here since I heard the Lil Wayne review on Carter 5, and ever since then. And I even backdated a lot of episodes, and including the famous ones where he went on the Drake rant and stuff like that. And I think that this is a big factor in it. I think that now I question your integrity on those type of things, and if you really meant some of those things you said, or are you just saying it because it sounds good? Because this is the time where independent creators and entrepreneurs are thriving and really getting a sense of control back. And it's not just in the entertainment industry. It seems to be all across America. You have people who are like not settling for these bullshit ass minimum wage jobs, and some of these companies are struggling because they can't find somebody to fall for these traps anymore. And I feel like you were one of the people that really pushed the culture towards that. And that's very disappointing to hear that, like, yeah, there were issues. They didn't get this, that, but you should have treated your friends how you've always wanted to be treated in industry. And that goes to my next point. Maul said something that was very, very revealing to me, where they have a problem where like they feel like they can't talk about the Joe Budden podcast unless Joe Budden's there, because he feels like they're conspiring against him to like get over on. That's called PTSD, my friend. And yes, Joe has PTSD. You could just tell this from a lot of the conversation that he's had, is that he is riddled with PTSD. And rightfully so. There's been a lot of situations where Joe's been fucked over. There's been a lot of situations where Joe has done what seemingly is the right thing and hasn't been sided with. And it wasn't until this podcast that a lot of his more brilliant ideas and innovations really got recognized and respected. And that can, one, really inflate the ego, because there are people who have never had the type of shine that they deserved, and then when they get it, it gets to them. And then there's other people who they get so much respect and adoration and love and stuff like that, it also gets to them, no matter who they are as a person. So I think that was a great, the most revealing thing to me personally was that, yes, Joe suffers very badly from PTSD, and it's very prevalent, especially in this situation. So more or less, I'm leaning more towards like, Rory and Maul seem to be telling the truth. They didn't seem to be holding any bars. They didn't seem to be overly emotional. We know Joe's overly emotional. And some of the things they said really hit home when you look back as a fan of the podcast later on. So I hate to be a flip-flopper, but now that I've heard both sides, and I'm kind of leaning more towards Rory and Maul, but I still have a lot of respect for Joe, because I do think that he has some valid points. I think that if it's true about him covering all the costs and not making people come out of pocket and doing all this himself, that still gives him a lot of weight, which they also gave him acknowledgement for, saying like, that's why you get paid what you get paid, but we just want what we agreed to. We're not asking for more or for less. And if it's true that Rory said he wanted to waive the Patreon first paycheck to make sure the crew was set, I really respect Rory for that, because not a lot of people would do that, especially with the type of love and respect that Rory and Maul get. That was really big of him. So if he did that, salute. So I want to get to this next part, because this is going to be a little controversial. Again, I cannot remember the girl's name, but shorty from the other podcast that was, I think, is part of the Joe Budden, or was part of the Joe Budden network, that left and is now accusing him of sexual misconduct. I'm torn, and this is why I'm torn. And if what she says is true, no, not even if what she says is true, because some of it is definitely true. I feel for her, because if she really did feel like that, and he did say those things to her, he was wilding. He was definitely wilding. Even before I make my other case, he was wilding either way. Like, bro, keep. This is where he blurs the lines a lot. Keep that business shit. That personal shit. You blending so much, man. You're getting sloppy. So, Shorty said that he approached her in a manner that she wasn't comfortable with. He approached her a few different times, and it made her. It basically put her in a position where she wanted to leave. Okay, cool. Let's say that. The timing, and this is for a lot of people, man. This is for a lot of people. The timing is suspect, and I don't care. I know I'm going to be like, well, you got to respect the victim. I do. I've been a victim of sexual abuse. I understand that. I'm not denying any of that. If that's her truth, that's her truth, and good for her for speaking on it. But timing. This seems like to be it's convoluted with a smear campaign against Joe Budden once again. And it like I said, when it rains it pours, but at the same time, in the video just wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't compelling enough for me. One, because of her agreeing to keep some of the stuff in there, and the fact that Joe Budden didn't seemed from what she said didn't care if the footage was in there. So it doesn't seem like he did anything damaging enough to his own rep or career or anything to be worried about it. And that was out of her mouth. Did I think some of the things that he said was crazy? Yeah, especially to somebody who works for you or works with you. You got to have a little bit more resolve than that. You got to have a little bit more restraint than that. And you just got to have more respect than that. Agreed. I totally agree with that. But the timing of all this, while it's happening now, the fact that she chose now to speak on it, it's just, I don't like it. It doesn't seem pure to me, personally. I'm not saying it did not happen. I'm also saying that she doesn't have the right to feel how she feels. But the timing just doesn't seem good. And the video did not seem convincing. The fact that she started it off by calling herself brave. Look, man, it is very brave to stick up for yourself and speak on these things. I wish I would have done it much sooner. I waited years and years to do it. But I didn't call myself brave. I didn't come on there using a bunch of what seems to be clickbait words, popular words to like get my story across. I actually went to and talked about it with a therapist and with my family and stuff like that. And man, because I don't want to come off here like I don't believe victims or that I don't side with victims or that I think that Shorty's even lying. I just think that like just the way it was done was very, very discouraging to me. I didn't like it. I thought it was nasty. And I think that the timing of it all seems very convenient. And that's disappointing because I don't ever want to feel like that about a victim, especially in a situation like this. So that's my feelings on the Joe Budden situation right now. I'm sure we'll get a lot more from Joe now that Rory and Mal have done this. There have been rumors that they are going to start their own podcast. I'll probably listen for sure. I love podcasts, so why not? And Rory and Mal were great. I don't know that it's going to do well without the dynamic of Joe in between them because they're so polar. But who knows? I never thought I'd like Joe Budden and his podcast and be a fan of his podcast, but I was. And somehow Joe Rogan's got brought into this. Don't bring Joe Rogan in this shit, man. He's over here. All right, let him do his thing. He's killing shit right now, man. I don't need his interviews to stop. I love Joe Rogan. So yeah, man, that's all I got for this episode. Make sure y'all follow me everywhere at Hooligan Life. And make sure y'all stay tuned. I'm going to drop a walkthrough video for my new business and see how y'all like it. And also, make sure y'all check out the Flight School podcast we're producing with the Music Shop and the OG Design featuring Slim Cartel and Snooty. Yeah, man, this is OG Illa, and I'm out, baby. Peace.
I think I'm truly lost in this music.